Hello and welcome to Hardy Party 5.5.
Welcome.
Hey, Rebecca.
Yep.
Do you remember the movie Ghostbusters Afterlife that we saw last summer?
I do.
What did you think about that one?
I love that movie.
I really did too. And I have a hot sports opinion here.
What's that?
That's probably going to upset the whole geek community. It's going to be very controversial.
Give it to him easy.
I think Ghostbusters Afterlife is the best Ghostbusters movie.
The best?
Yes, better than the original.
Better than the Marshmallow Dude.
Yes, better than the Marshmallow
Better
Dude.
than the one with all women.
Oh, definitely. Not because they're all women. I just thought that story was pretty hokey.
Pretty weak.
Yeah.
I don't remember disliking that as much as you did, but I definitely like Ghostbusters Afterlife. I wonder if we always think that the newer ones are better basically because CGI and technology is better. So we just naturally tend to say it's better.
Well, I think that can help, but I think, at least for me, it's the heart of the story that's really what I'm judging.
Yeah.
And like with Afterlife, they did such a good job of bringing in the heart of the original movies, but then taking it to a new place with the new kids and stuff, but not losing like the atmosphere of the original.
Right.
And I think CGI can cover up a bad story.
True.
So, but like, it's not necessarily the same thing with Top Gun that we've talked about a couple episodes ago.
But it's close because it's like all about the story.
Yeah.
And I think in both movies, they brought old characters into the same movie again.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I was comparing. I think that was.
But I think with Top Gun, I think the new technology with cameras probably helped the movie because we talked about the old movie was really constrained by what they could show with the actors in the planes.
Right.
So I think that helps the movie. But I also think that Top Gun Maverick has a better story because it has a more heart to the story.
Right.
When you look at the original Top Gun, it's a bunch of hotheads that are trying to outdo each other.
Yes.
And in the new one, it's more paternal and there's like a forgiveness there that you don't really see in the original.
Right.
So again, it's the heart of the story and not necessarily the technology.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, today we have a gal that really packs a punch. She is talking about a stick of dynamite.
Talk about powerful things in a small package.
That's right. She is 4'7".
And she can beat us up right now.
That's right. She is a stunt woman. And she was in Ghostbusters Afterlife. She was in the BFG. She does voices in My Little Pony. I mean, who gets to do all those fun and cool things?
And she did motion capture in Planet of the Apes movies.
That's right. Can you imagine being 4'7" and being able to beat up most of the people in the room you're standing with your pinky?
If you wanted to.
This is just the most fascinating conversation. If you want to know the world of stunts, how these things all work together, the people that are really doing all the blood, sweat, and tears behind the scenes, you're going to love this interview with Devyn Dalton. So welcome to Hardy Party 5.5, Devyn Dalton. Girl, you got a busy schedule. And so we are so glad you took time out for us to podcast with us. I mean, we don't know how we get amazing people like you. We're thankful that you've taken the time with us. So you are a stunt woman and you started out in dance. So dance, you did hip hop, you did ballet, jazz, lyrical. Like, what was your favorite dance and how did that help you in this job?
Yeah, dance is such a great base. First, I mean, I just loved it. It was always me, you know, my parents never like signed me up. I was always like, Mom, I want to do this. Same with acting and things. I would tell her like, I want to do this. And she's like, okay. So I started dance and then I got heavily into it. And when you're kind of doing competitive dance, you're training every day. So I would go to school, after school, straight to dance, competitions all the time. And you're kind of in every single style when you're doing your training in competition. But I loved it. So for me, it was like, I was having the best time ever. And it gave me such a base for the rest of my career. My favorite types of dance, I love everything. I really, really do. But once I finished competition, I'm really into street styles. So I love hip hop, and there's just a freedom in it where you are still learning your choreography and stuff, but there's a freedom to put your own element on it. I absolutely love ballet. It's a different expression, but it is very strict. It's very, there's a syllabus that you learn, and there's a right way and there's a wrong way. Whereas with street dance, you know, there's kind of that flexibility to have free expression. And I think that's why I loved it so much. Maybe for me, using words was harder, and I could express through my body and my movement.
Yeah.
So I love that. And then I was always drawn to kind of Latin styles of dance. Like I love salsa dance, anything with just good music and movement. Yeah. So that for me, street dance and salsa. So hip hop and salsa is kind of my favorite. But I definitely love all of it. And as far as translating into my work now, it's a huge, huge impact. I don't think I maybe even would have fallen into stunts, no pun intended, if I hadn't had a dance background. And really, like, it's not necessarily seen as a sport, but the training that you do with it involves a lot. And it just gives you, basically, it gives you a full awareness of your body. So you know, like everything about yourself, you know how your weight's going to be, you know how to move yourself, you know how to pick up choreography. You also obviously understand the performance element of it. So it translates with acting or stunt performing because you're storytelling. And then it's great for stunts, like even for learning fight choreography, you know how to pick up the choreo. And you also just have a body awareness. So if you're doing like falls or things are changing on the fly with directions, you just have a good base for picking that up. I know there's a lot of dancers who have now gone into stunts with street styles, classical styles. Break dancing is also obviously a great one because it takes a lot of strength and skills. And then it also helped me with all of my creature work and my character work, because that also is movement and storytelling. So there's dance is a great base. And I mean, I know a lot of people use it. Some martial arts people use it for their training. And I know even Arnold Schwarzenegger took dance lessons to help him with his, you know, career. So there's many different aspects of dance for sure.
Well, how does one do that? Go from dance to straight into stunt work? Like, do you just throw your resume out there on LinkedIn? Like, how does that work?
Kind of.
Really?
You know, things change over the years, but yeah, it's a bit of a hustle. It's like with acting, you would get like an agent, or you know, you would submit to an agency and then they submit you for auditions. Stunt work is a bit different. You're kind of cast. You're also kind of like the crew. So you have to hustle. You have to bring your stunt bag, which is basically your kit. It has all your pads, your harnesses, your helmet. Like no one supplies you with that. You got to.
Oh, so you bring your own stuff. I didn't know you brought your own stuff.
Well, probably.
Yeah.
Probably also for legality.
Yeah. No, you have your stunt bag that you bring, and it will have all of the pads that you will need. Your harnesses, your helmet, your mouth guard, anything you need to do those stunts. And that's something, that all stunt performers set up on their own. So there's a different hustle that comes behind stunt work. And it's basically a grind. Also, you basically, what I first started doing is I got into it through being on set already and being approached. So I was acting at the time, and I had an audition for the first remake of Apes, The Planet of the Rise of the Apes, which is like the first one of the trilogy. And I did that audition and booked it. So that was through my agent. I was just acting. I didn't really know what stunts was at the time. I was just doing my dance and acting stuff. And then we did 3 weeks of training to do all the ape work. So we did that training with Terry Notary, who's a very notable movement coach. And through that, there was a bunch of stunt performers, and they kind of approached me after, because they're like, well, you're really good at movement, and your size obviously also is unique to double kids and creatures, which is a niche as well. And so they kind of introduced me to stunts, and then I started going to like open gym and training with them and kind of learning what stunts was, because at the time I knew sort of, but not really. And then that's where the hustle started. You'd pull up your list on the union websites of what's filming in town, and you'd find the address and you'd print out your resume and your headshot and send it in and put attention stunt coordinator and just hope that, they'll get it and give you a call. And so and I know even before that time, people would actually just go to the sets and show up and basically offer to help out for free. So like when it comes to stunt work, we're very much a team, because even if someone else is doing the stunt, everyone's got to move the pads and set it up for each other. We check each other's stuff. It moves as like a whole team. It's very much, it's not an individual thing. It really is a team. Like any movie you see, like if one stunt has happened, like there's a bunch of people behind it. Yeah. So you would go and hustle, get to know the community, train with them, and then just, send out your stuff as much as you can and hopefully get some gigs and do a good job. So it definitely, it's a cool hustle. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily know it because it's kind of, it's always been kept behind the screen a bit.
Right. Yeah.
It's starting to get a lot more recognition now, but
yeah, I can see your LinkedIn hustler / great body awareness.
Top of the list. One, I love stunt work because I feel like stunt work is even coming back, because I think there was some time in movies where they tried to do it all digitally and it just doesn't look the same. Even as good as digital has gotten, you can just tell when it's a stunt person and when it's digital. So I love that the human element is still in it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
I love it. I love any.
Like even in a Marvel movie, you can tell like 2/3, like the last third of every Marvel movie is usually a CGI battle of digital characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
and it's cool, but it's not the same as when you see like, Jackie Chan in there doing the thing.
Right. Yeah.
Like, okay. Yeah.
An element makes it more dramatic, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
It does. And then it kind of is like the artistry of that not to say visual effects is great and we need it and it's come a long way and it offers so many awesome things. But if you can do anything like practical, doing it for real, it's quite something. Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned earlier you double for kids a lot. And one of our favorite recent movies is Ghostbusters Afterlife. So tell us what it was like to be on that set. Like this is like a legacy movie, like 40 years old. So what was it like working on that movie?
It was so cool. It's to be a part of something that is like a huge, famous, everyone knows it. I know, like was exciting for sure. And then the team was super awesome as well. And I think the best part was seeing like for the first time the actual Ghostbusters car and knowing like that I'm like ride in it and like chase ghosts. It's super cool. You turn into a kid again, which is kind of the like fun part of it. You get to channel that, and it was just so much fun. It was just the original Ghostbuster car was really, really cool. And then kind of getting to see near the end, obviously, when they brought like the OGs back and getting to see like Bill Murray there, and you're like, whoa, that's them. Like it's so cool. Yeah. And like even though like I perform and I work with people, actors and actresses and stuff all the time, there's still a nostalgia for me as well when it comes to like projects like that. And you're like, sometimes I have a moment where I think of like my younger self and I'm like, whoa, she would think this is super cool. Sometimes you're working, you're like, oh, just doing this on to the next project. And then you're like, wait a minute, like, yeah, I'm actually doing it. Like, this is what I wanted to do. I'm doing it. And it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Since our Afterlife, do what?
Afterlife was super fun. Yeah, it was very cool.
It was such a great
Did you interact with Paul Rudd at all? Did you have any scenes where you had to, or did you hang out with him on set or anything?
No, like he's a lovely person. We didn't get a lot of time together with Paul. A lot of the action was second unit. And then the days that we were there for main unit, We were in and around them, but there was no scenes for me, right, with Paul Rudd. I love Paul Rudd though. He's so awesome.
So
Yeah.
when you're going through the street, you talked about being in the Ghostbusters car. When you're going down the street chasing, I think you're chasing Slimer, aren't you? In the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
So there was two actresses that were doubling the kids, right? Were you inside the car or did you were you on the outside? You were on the inside?
I got to do both. Yeah.
Oh, you both. That's great.
Yeah. So it was, funnily enough, so me and bless her heart, she's another stunt girl from Toronto. She does circus silks and stuff. Her name is Amanda Della Penta. She's the same height as me and everything. She was doubling as well. And so we would switch off. So sometimes I think the first time you see the car, me outside the car, that's me driving around and shooting the stuff past the diner and all that kind of stuff. And then the end part of it is me. And then there's one little middle bit that's Amanda. And then I was also inside the car for parts of it. So it was fun because we got to switch off and do a bit of both.
Yeah.
And then I got to be in both the costumes, which was fun as well.
So our listening audience obviously hasn't done the research that we've done on you. Why do you get to play kids so much? They don't know how tall you are.
Yes, and no one, you can't tell on this group. Yeah, I am very petite. I'm very petite. I'm only 4 feet 7 inches tall, and if we're being true, I'm a little bit under the 7 inches, and I weigh about 80 to 83 pounds.
Oh my god!
So I'm very tiny. Yeah, so I mean, I am the height, the size of a kid.
Yeah. Perfect.
Which is why I double kids a lot. And then I also get to do like cool creature stuff. And funnily enough, I've doubled some adults as well when they're doing something that's called forced perspective. In some of the Percy Jackson movies, Sea of Monsters, like there's a scene where the Annabeth character gets thrown against the wall and it's a big ratchet pole on a wire. And the regular double for her is like 5'8", but they had this giant who's throwing her. So they brought me in to do the stunt, and then it helps him look even bigger.
Oh, okay.
So there's fun stuff like that in film that you get to do as well. But yes, I normally double kids. And that is why. My parents are tiny. My mom's only 4'9". My dad's about 5'5", really. And I just didn't. Usually you surpass your parents, but I just didn't make it.
Do it.
So, but it worked out.
Yeah,
so it's okay.
It worked out. So you don't know much about our family, but our son just got engaged, and so we had this picture of we have 3 boys, 23, 21, and 19, and they're all very tall. And then everybody that sees this picture, they say, "Oh my gosh, she's so tiny." Well, she's 5'7". She's not tiny at all. It's hilarious. Our kids are all 6'3" and 6'4", and we're tall, both of us. And so to have her in the picture, she looks so tiny. So that's probably a little forced perspective. So she's little to see as well, but she's 5'7". She's not real short. She just feels short around.
No, that's like giant. Yeah.
So one of our most recent favorite movies is The Adam Project, and you got to be a part of that with some big stars like Mark Ruffalo and Ryan Reynolds and Jennifer Garner. Like, tell us about that experience. And of course, we fell in love with that little kid. I mean, Will Scobell, he was so good. So tell us all about that experience.
Yes, that was exciting. And actually, the cool thing about it too, there was 2 stunt coordinators, James Churchman, who's an American coordinator, and then again, this was filmed in Vancouver, Canada, which is where Ryan Reynolds is from. So I think maybe, I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but maybe. And then there was a Canadian coordinator, Mike Mitchell, who was actually he was the coordinator on the first Apes I did, and he kind of got me into stunts. So it was cool to do another project with him. But yeah, the cast on that was just like incredible. I was super excited because it's always fun to watch like those kind of performers work, because you learn something just by sitting and like watching the scene happen and getting to see them live in front of you doing the performance. And then Walker was just awesome. He's like super savvy. Obviously, like you can see, he's so witty and natural, and and I think this was his first project, so he's still very much like a kid, which I really love. Like he just really was, his reactions and everything was so genuine. And he was stoked to do like some of the stuff, and he just did a really, really, really good job. Because sometimes with kids too, you don't know, kids are kids, and they might be really like awkward and clumsy, or they might be like, you know, quite savvy and good. But yeah, Walker was awesome. Just, I think obviously this is only like the beginning of his career. And then it was just so cool. Like Mark Ruffalo it was so funny, because we're in the trailer getting our hair and makeup done, and Mark Ruffalo introduces himself, you know, which is so
Like,
humble.
you know,
Like, oh, I'm
was.
Mark. Like, you don't know. You're like, oh, Mark. Nice to meet you. But he was just lovely, like super lovely. And then obviously Ryan Reynolds it was so cool to watch him, you know, doing his thing. And like the cast is, when you get to work on projects like that, exactly, I always take it as kind of a chance to like learn as well. Because you're always going to learn something watching like these true professionals and in their craft, and you get to have like a live seat right there. So
yeah. What were some things you got to do on that? What were you a part of on that movie?
Yeah, so we helped with, first, usually stunts always will help with the training. So we set up all the stunts, we test it, we get it ready, and then we bring in the actors and train them. So we'll show them what to do. We'll get him to do it. And like for Walker, so he has parts in it where he kind of like, he has a little wire pole, and then he twists off with the like the bad guy and slams into the wall. And he's got the I forget what it's called, but it's one of the time things they're using.
Like the wand things that the weapons.
Yeah, the wand thing, the bobber.
Yeah.
So we were working with him with that. And so I would go in and test and line it all up. And then we would put Walker on it and kind of get him comfortable slowly with it, so that he could do parts of it. Because obviously, if we can get parts with the actor, like that's the goal. And that is kind of the job when you're a stunt performer, is to obviously like make the actor look the best they can. So you want to help train them. And then, you know, you'll do all the parts that maybe are a bit more dangerous and rough and that you wouldn't want the actor to do. But you want them to do as much as you can, because it's better for camera and everything. If they can get a straight on shot with the actor and they can do that comfortably, then like awesome.
Yeah.
So for Adam Project, there was a couple wire pulls for him. We had a little thing called a parallelogram where when they're taking off on the spaceship, where they kind of lift off. And then there was like kind of some stuff in the spaceship as well when they're driving, that he got to do. Yeah. And then just like running around and being in and about the action, basically. Yeah.
What is the worst you've ever gotten hurt?
I was thinking that too.
Yeah. People always ask that question. They're like, what? Well, you know, here the thing with the stunts is it's all about safety as well, which is obviously like why we have so many rehearsals and professional people doing it, because we want to try and not have that happen. I've definitely had bruises and aches and pains that kind of always comes with it, like soreness and things like that. I have been super lucky to not have any, like, no concussion or broken bones. I'm going to knock on wood there. But I know many people who have had, obviously. So for me, I think the worst was like, I kind of rolled an ankle weird that every now and then flares up. But really, like, besides having maybe like some pretty good bruises, like some pretty good ones. Yeah. That's it. So I'm happy.
That's how good you are at your job. All of your team.
Totally. It's like you definitely want to save yourself as much as you can. Yeah. And we tried in rehearsals to really, like, obviously when we're testing stuff, we wear a helmet and you know, a mouth guard, and on the day you don't, but like you're gonna pad up when you're rehearsing, so at least you can save yourself during that part. And then obviously when the camera's rolling, you go for it, and you usually try and go really, really hard the first time so that it looks really awesome and that you don't have to do it.
You don't have to do it again. Yeah.
You know, so you aim for that for sure. Yeah.
So you mentioned the team, that there's a big team there. And I know one of those positions, the riggers are so important. And it's kind of an unsung heroes that you don't hear about. So explain to us what a rigger is and what they do on the set for you.
Yes, I'm so glad that you asked about that. And I'm when I read that question, I was like, oh, yeah, so glad that you asked about that, because really, like, the riggers are so important. And they hold just as much as the performer, because without a good rigger, the stunt's not going to be good. Without a good stunt performer, the rigger's job. So really, like, they have to work together. And I always really want to know. So riggers, basically, if people don't know, they're the people who are like, a lot of them come from different kind of safety backgrounds. Like, they're like the guys who are going to keep you safe. They set everything up. So if you're doing any kind of wire stuff, they're setting up all the wires. They're going up in the trees or up in the studio. They're rigging everything. They're testing it with sandbags that are like your body weight to test it out. They're coming in and they're hooking you onto the line. So they double check everything. And often they're the ones doing it. So like lots of times we'll do like hand pulls or something where they are on the other side jumping off a ladder to pull you and time it. And so they are part of their performance, because they have to actually do it. And you as the performer, you're just on the line and you go with it. But the rigger has to like time it right. He's got to set it up. He's got to pull your weight. He's got to do like all the kind of technical side of it.
Yeah.
They handle, and the safety side of it, they handle. And they work so hard, and they're just like, they really like, when people like see the stunt happen and they're like, woo, and they clap for the performer, like equally to the riggers. There's just no way we can even make that look cool. And most of the stunts that we do, we wouldn't be able to do without riggers, because as much as they're practical, they're on a wire. They're something's being set up and rigged, or even with car stuff, you've got to rig the car so that it can be a stunt car, like anything like that. And we've just been like, I've been blessed to work with a lot of really, really, like, these people are highly trained people who have like so many years of experience in different stuff. Like if you dropped them in the middle of the woods with nothing, like they're your guy. They're gonna know exactly what to do, figure it all out. So yeah, and they keep us safe and make us look good. So riggers are just the best, and they're such a big part of stunts, but exactly, most people have no idea who they are. And
are there a few names that pop in your head? Because these people never get any recognition. Are there a few that you can think of that you work with a lot?
So Corbin Fox is a main stunt rigger. I think he kind of goes all around the world. He's super, super awesome. He's got a good team with him. Grant Smith, Dave Edgar, Harry Beckham, Raph, I don't know his last name. Who else? Raph, Perry.
That's
and that's just like a handful. Like there's so many.
Yeah.
But it's so good. And it's really important for a stunt performer to know your rigger, because lots of times if you're doing stuff, like I said, you're working together. So you're telling them like, hey, give me more slack, or on the descender, like let's say you're rappelling down, like, or give me this, like you're always making eye contact with them. And it's kind of between you and them to like make it happen.
Yeah. It's cool because you have like, it's like you have like the main actor who's the face, and you have the rigger who's never the face. And then you have the stunt person who's 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Yeah. You're like the right in between. Yeah. That's
exactly. Yeah. And that's what it takes to make it look the way it does when we see it on the screen.
So great.
Yeah.
And I appreciate those people, because I do corporate events, graphic stuff, and there's so many people behind the scenes that do all the work, and you never hear about them. So it's important to me that those guys that do all that work get some recognition.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
And they work work so hard because they're there before you and after you, because they're going to set it up and they're going to take it down.
Yeah.
And they're doing hard work. Like they'll be out in the forest rigging all this stuff. And you're in the forest. There's nothing set up to do these wire pulls. They have to, and to know how to put that all on, and also to be able to do it. Like, can you do this 20 times in a row the exact same way for camera? Do it from different angles. So their job is like, I don't even know how they do all that stuff. They know how to tie all these crazy knots and all this like stuff that I'm like, what are you doing?
Like the ultimate Boy Scout.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
That's funny. So take us inside the world of motion capture, and how is that different from like general stunt work?
Yeah, so motion capture is some of my favorite work because it is kind of, to me, it's the middle ground of acting and stunt work, because it's movement based, but it's not necessarily just like falling downstairs or getting hit by a car or something. It's usually involving a character or creature, and it definitely requires a lot of imagination, because often you're playing something like that is not necessarily a human character. So you get to really like you're an animal, or you're a creature, you're a giant, or anything. So I love it just because for me, like I'm kind of in between. I love doing acting and the talking and the movement, but I also love doing movement. So motion capture is like that perfect middle ground. So that's why I find that some of my most favorite work for what I do. But yeah, it's different. It requires a lot of, again, like knowing like athletic ability or movement ability. So again, dance is great. Circus work would be great. Athletic stuff, sports, anything like that. But then you also need to tell the story and get into character. So theater work and acting plays a huge part in it as well.
I think,
and again, just definitely
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's the first time I heard of this. Do what? You go ahead.
We're both like, it's okay. Okay. I'll say definitely requires imagination too, because you get to do it on the live sets, but then you also always do it in what's called the volume, which is basically like an empty kind of gray room with all of the tech computers around it. And then, so you'll be imagining all the stuff. So you really have to use your imagination.
Get yourself there, in your head. I think the first time I'd heard of this was maybe Gollum.
Oh yeah.
With that's like the first time I probably heard about this type of thing at all with Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, and on the Apes movies, you worked with Gollum, you worked with Andy Serkis. What was that like? Like a legend? Like did he kind of start motion capture, really? I mean,
And I love it because he opened the door for that. Like, we don't have to just play human characters. Like, we're actors. We can, like, to be able to play those different kind of creatures like he did as Gollum shows, like, this is, like, what we can do with our craft. And, okay, so I've known Andy for a long time, because when I started the first Apes, I think it was pretty much, had just finished high school.
Oh, wow.
So I turned 18 on that film. So that was my first like big project, and then it was with Andy Serkis, and I was like, and I got work like right alongside with him, because when we did Toddler Caesar, he would do it and I would do it also. So I really got to like be in the scenes with him all the time, and that was like, I mean, that definitely shaped my career. I knew then, like, I really loved motion capture and I wanted to know more about it. And Andy's just he is like a lovely human, like a super, super awesome, lovely human, which is always wonderful. And he's just so, so talented. And I think he's been like really patient and stuff with the fact that a lot of people don't understand motion capture. I know I've struggled with that a lot. It's like, trust me, when you see him there acting as Caesar or something, like, he is that character. It'll blow your mind. But people who don't know it think, oh, it's just a computer animated thing. And it's like, no. Trust me, it's really not. Like, it's his vocals, it's his facial expression, it's his movement. It's just like any other human character, but then also he's managed to overlay it and be an ape,
Yeah.
which I think is even more crazy. So that was, yeah, I love working with Andy. And he just like, every day he's there 100%. Again, best learning experience for me because I get to have like, it's like an acting movement lesson from him every day almost. When I started that, because I didn't quite know what motion capture was, and I just kind of got to follow along with him and do it. And yeah, and it always helps that he's like an awesome, lovely human as well. So and now he's, directing and doing all these things, and
he just did the
so
Venom
glad
movie, right?
Yeah, exactly. He's doing tons and gets the recognition too, obviously we'll always have it for Gollum because that's just, it's Gollum, but now just he kind of is paving the way for movement actors, which is what I consider myself to be. So
no, that's awesome. Okay, so you worked with that legend on the Planet of the Apes, and then with BFG, you worked with another legend, Steven Spielberg. So what was that like?
Oh gosh. That movie spoiled us so much because it was so awesome to work on. Steven Spielberg, really, truly, you got to see directing at its finest. Like, he really lives up to the expectation. Just really gets in there with the actors. He knows what he wants. Like, he doesn't shoot a trillion takes. Like, once he's got it, he's got it. And he was so lovely. Like, I remember before we started the first scene and the last scene, he did a nice champagne toast with everyone to thank them for being there. And, he went around to each department and thanked everyone from the construction and every person who's making it and building it. So he kind of created this nice, like, family environment. And also I don't know if people know, but sometimes in film, we work like a little bit crazy of hours. Like, you can work 16, 18-hour days. It can be crazy weird hours. You don't get much time off. It's quite grueling. It's awesome in so many ways, but there's a very grueling side to it. But Steven Spielberg, he kind of like, he kept everything at kind of a 10-hour day, which was manageable. So people still got to like go home and see their family and come back refreshed. And so it was like a very nice working environment. And then obviously he was just great. Yeah, I loved working for him. I would give anything to work with him again. And I just loved that he knew what everyone's job was. He knew who everyone was and really like thanked them and appreciated it. And so it was just like great to be a part of maybe what I imagine, like how they made movies back in the day. And just, he's just so talented, he really is like, he deserves to be in the position that he's in. There's a reason he does that. And he's so great with his family too. Like his chair, like the movie set chairs that have the back, his dad on it. And I remember the one time his daughter was graduating, so he directed from Zoom because he was at his daughter's graduation. And so he's just a wonderful man, I think, as well. And I loved working with him, and he really is like an artist. He's an artist for sure. So,
well, I think it talks to his preparation that he can have such short hours because he knows exactly what he's already got in his mind, what he wants. So you don't have to do all these extra things. So. Yeah,
because you see it sometimes when people maybe don't, and then you take all this time to do things a million different ways, which is great. That's fine, like, but it really shows, that he's got a vision and he knows what it is, and he knows that once he's got it, like, that's all I need. I don't need to keep doing it a million times.
Yeah. Listen, we know all about this grueling hours of filming because over quarantine, our family decided to refilm the movie Goonies. There was 6 of us. We did all the important scenes with anything we could find as far as costumes around our house, wigs and scarves and all kinds of crazy. We all had at least 2 or 3 roles, and people were quitting. And
there was drama.
Yeah. It's our own children. People were quitting. I had to promise pizza parties and crap like that and get them to like perform. It was ridiculous.
That's hilarious. I love that. That's good dedication.
Funny. Yeah.
You know what? I just worked with Josh Brolin too, which was a dream. And
really? Yeah, that
Yeah.
he played Josh in the
Yeah, it
in
was
the
Josh.
Nice.
game. He
Yeah.
was. They tied him to the recliner.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fun.
It sounds like
That's
Steven Spielberg had a lot more scene control than we did. I
Probably
think.
so,
Yeah.
but he wasn't also the parents of the people that were he was trying to like herd like cats to
Yeah.
do things or pay them off.
Exactly.
So we told you we have 3 boys, so we don't know anything about this next part that you have your hand in, which is voiceover acting on My Little Pony. What is the name of the person of the pony that you are the voiceover for? Because we don't speak this language.
And in its own world, let me tell you, it's a massive world that people are really like. My Little Pony, I had no idea the world following of that franchise, and genuine fans, like diehard fans. It's honestly been like, it's been so lovely to be a part of, because the people who love it, like, they're just so genuine and they really care. And it's been awesome to do like the con events where I get to meet them. But my character is named Ocellus. So I am a student of at the School of Friendship is Magic, the School of Friendship. And our teachers are the main ponies. So the main ponies of the show, they're our teachers, and we're the students. And Ocellus is a changeling, it's called. So basically it's kind of like this bug-like horse character, and she can change and morph into other characters. So she's kind of like a shapeshifter almost.
Okay.
But I have this plushie. I brought this plushie over.
Oh my gosh.
There she is.
That is adorable.
That is my character.
That's awesome.
I was so excited.
Oh my god.
I was so excited.
So precious.
I know. Isn't that cute? So cute. But as you can see, like, she got wings and you know, like kind of like a bug like
she does
creature.
Yeah.
So she's not your typical horse.
She is not
or pony.
A horse. Yes, or pony.
Yeah. But yeah, My Little Pony has been, it was really cool to jump on that show because one, they have like some awesome voiceover performers that are on that. So working with them was super cool. And then, yeah, just the fandom has been kind of the biggest reward of that. I love going to the con events. They're all around. And yeah, you go and people just, the show has actually done a lot for these people. And because it's a show that has positive messages, and it's, you know, it kind of deals with life things, but in like this bubbly, fun way. So it's much more, at first you think like, oh, it's just like some little kid show, but actually it's so much more than that. And it's just fun. I love voiceover as well. That's a whole other kind of thing. It's obviously different. You're not on set. You go into a recording studio and record. But again, super, super fun. I love using your voice and expression that way. And again, kind of like this kid-like aspect to it, because it's cartoons, but it's so cool.
So how do you schedule that in? Do you just have, when you're gone on a movie set, you just kind of say, hey, we need voiceover, I need it to be during this time frame, or like you just...
Yeah, if you've been booked for something, like because voiceover is flexible that way. I mean, obviously, actually, since COVID, a lot of it is done at home. So most voiceover actors have a home studio where they'll have like a little soundproof room, and they've got the tech on their computer and their own mic, because you really only need like the other person on the other line, the director or whatever, and you can record at home. But if you're not and you're recording in a studio, like I know for My Little Pony, an episode, we would do like 4-hour sessions. So you can work it around your schedule. If you're filming on something else, they'll get you in and come in. And you sometimes record with the other actors, and sometimes you record your lines on your own. So if you can't make it to that scheduled times, then they can usually work around. So there is a flexibility with it, and it's not obviously like 18-hour days. So that you can squeeze in or record from home as well, which is the new thing now, because since COVID, that's kind of what has developed, and now it's kind of stuck. So
Hey, so we also know that Leo Samarelli is really important to you. So can you give us a quick rundown of his story and what he's got going on?
Yeah, Leo Samarelli. Wow, he's so awesome. You guys can, his Instagram is Samarelli. He's also got WWAB, which is his organization, West Coast Wheelchair Adaptive Boxing. So he is an athlete, like awesome athlete. He was a boxer. He was training for boxing Olympics. He was, making some big contracts. He was injured. He has a spinal cord injury, which caused paralysis. So he's now in a wheelchair. And instead of letting it kind of take him down and end his career, his dream, he's turned it around and turned it into like something beautiful and inspiring others, and kind of creating a whole new sport. And really opening up the awareness of anybody who does have a disability, that there's still so much more that they can do. All it has to be is adapted. So they can do all the same things. You just have to adapt it because you're moving differently now. And with his West Coast adaptive boxing, he's trying to kind of create a new sport for boxing. So obviously they're in wheelchairs, but he's creating a new wheelchair that moves. So you have to move it and learn and train the boxing, because he's a professional athlete. And then he does these crazy things. Like he just has like work ethic. Like nobody I know. He's doing, so there's a mountain in Vancouver. It's called Grouse Grind, and it's over 3,000 steps. It's in North Vancouver. It's all straight uphill. It's basically a hike that everyone goes and does and dies by the end. Like you're like, oh God. It's a goal for everyone, right? To do the Grouse Grind. And he's like, I'm gonna do it. I think I want to do it one summer. He said that, and I was like, I think you can do it. Cool. So we started training for it. And his brother and I helped kind of hold his legs like a wheelbarrow, and he walks on his arms.
Wow.
And he did the whole thing. It took 6 hours, the whole thing on his hands. It was just epic. And just kind of trying to, like do great things and just open up the awareness that like, why shouldn't he be able to do the Grouse Grind? And we were just in Costa Rica, and we were in La Fortuna, where there's the volcano. And we wanted to go on the tour that takes you up to, you do the hike and you see the volcano. But no one really wants to, obviously they're like, oh, you can't go. Basically the answer for him, because he's in a wheelchair, is no. But he knew that he wanted to see it, and we wanted to go. And so we decided, let's do it anyways. And so we did the same thing as the Grouse Grind, and we went up there. And it just, he kind of does it to bring awareness too, that like, I think there's a lot of places that we can definitely, I don't think people do it intentionally, because I know even for myself, I wasn't aware of it, but spending time with him, I'm much more aware of it, of places that don't have accessibility, but could easily have accessibility. So just opening up the awareness, like, hey, like, why don't we just build this place to be set up for everyone to be able to experience it.
Yeah.
And also just such a motivator. He teaches classes every day, to boxing classes. And he also trains able-bodied people. I do my boxing training with Leo. He's a part of the Boxing BC board. So he trains able-bodied people because he is a trained athlete. And then he also helps people with cerebral palsy, people with any kind of disability, come to them, and you see it change them totally. They have more movement, they can do way more. So I guess it's just about like taking, traumas and things and not letting it stop you, and getting up every day and still pushing forward, and just kind of going beyond those limits that are set there for you, but they don't have to be. Definitely he's an inspiration to everyone. And I'm excited to see what next thing he's going to do. Like there'll be something else. Oh, I should also mention he's on the national team for Canada, to hopefully going to be representing Canada in the Paralympics. He does cross country skiing. Yeah.
Oh, wow,
so
that's cool.
That's so cute.
all around like superstar athlete, and just trying to help others out there who have, you know, suffered injuries or who were born with disabilities to just know that like you can do all the other things that people want to do. And yeah.
That's so cool. I think I saw some videos of you.
Yeah. So have you ever punched him when you were doing it? Have you punched him in the face before? We saw those videos.
I tried, but the thing is he's so good.
So good.
Like
he's so good.
He's so good. I would have to catch him off guard because if we were doing that, no way. There's no way.
Well, what's perfect about you and him is that because of your height and when he's sitting in the chair, I mean, it's perfect for you.
It is perfect. It's totally perfect.
And it's clearly working for you because I can see the definition in your arms. Like
I know. Actually, boxing has really done that. And he like personal trains as well. So I'll do workouts and stuff with him. And which is great for my work and my career too.
For sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So
check out his.
Do what?
Oh, I was just gonna say, check out his pages.
Yeah.
I think
we'll link it. We'll tag him on the
show notes
on the edit.
Yeah, that's so cool. So you mentioned that you've been to Canada a couple times doing different movies, but where else have you been? Also Costa Rica. Where else have you been that you just fell in love with the culture, the people? Like, what are some things you've learned? Where have you been that you loved?
Yeah. Well, I went to Egypt, which was kind of a bucket trip, which was very, very cool. Met a lot of awesome people there. Obviously, that was quite an experience. Like, one I didn't think that I would do, or like, but it just kind of the stars aligned and it happened. So that was amazing for me, and it was just the people were lovely. Yeah, and obviously like way different than what I'm used to. So that was super cool. I've only like just started traveling. I've always wanted to travel. But really like I've just started to, and now I just like can't get enough of it.
Right. Yeah, that's the way we are.
Yeah, I just went to Savannah, Georgia, Nashville with my mom. It was her 65th birthday. So we went and did some exploring. And that was lovely. Like, what?
Did you grow up in LA?
I didn't. So I am Canadian born.
She's from Canada. Okay.
Yeah. So I work in the States as well as in Canada. Yeah. So I was born in Alberta, which is kind of a prairie country. It gets cold there. And then we moved to BC, Vancouver, which is obviously the West Coast, like just above LA. If you think of it, East Coast Toronto is kind of like by New York. Vancouver, which is known as North Hollywood because it's a huge film hub. Tons of stuff. Obviously, there's great scenery there. You've got the ocean, you've got the mountains, and the weather is probably the best in Canada because you don't really get snow. You get rain, but it's a lot more temperate. Beautiful summers. So it's a great place to film because you just have a lot of scenery that you can use. And then I've done some stuff in Atlanta, a bit in LA. I'll be going to Boston soon for a job. It's been cool. The travel part is what I'm most excited about. So I'm just starting to kind of get worldly with my travels. Yeah.
That's awesome. Isn't the Calgary Stampede up in Alberta the famous rodeo?
Yeah, exactly. The rodeo, the cowboys, exactly. So Alberta is like the cowboys and they call it, okay, so this is like, Alberta is like the Texas of Canada.
Oh, okay.
Is what they
there you go.
So that's like, and then I guess true, like I said, Toronto would be like East Coast, New York, Vancouver is more West Coast, like LA. Yeah. I don't know if that's really true, but I went to Texas once for PonyCon, and then I just got offered a project there in Austin, and I was super excited because I would have loved. Texas is so cool. I would have loved to spend some time there.
Which Comic-Con did you come to in Texas?
It was a PonyCon. It was called HarmonyCon. HarmonyCon.
A PonyCon?
Yeah. I'm sure you guys know. Yeah.
That is crazy. But you ended up not taking the Austin job?
Yeah, unfortunately, I would love to, but that's actually one of the biggest things in film is like juggling the schedule because
Yeah.
obviously a lot of times projects come up at the same time. And so you're chosen with, you have to choose, or you might be already committed to one and then the other one offers later. And so just juggling, like trying to fit it in time wise. And summer is always a really busy season because obviously the weather's great everywhere. Two, there's a lot of projects that have kids in them because they're off school. So summer is usually a really busy season.
Girl, you do not want to film in Texas in the summer. It
so
is
hot.
so hot.
Oh yeah, it's
I love the I love the heat, but I probably not some. I say that, but
you would you probably would live Austin. A lot of people. Austin is like its own little oddity in Texas. Like it's just got the coolest vibe, and you know, it's different from all the rest of Texas. It's kind of set apart.
Yeah.
Totally. People have bumper stickers that say "Keep Austin weird" because it is just weird.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and we're closer, obviously, to Fort Worth. But anyways, well, I know it's going to be hard to juggle your schedule. There is only one you, and so we appreciate the one you taking time out for.
Because we know you just got done working today, so we appreciate that.
We appreciate. We're so happy to like give our people a little insight into like what a stunt person does. Like I learned so much today. I didn't even really know that much about motion capture and stuff like that. So I appreciate you taking time to tell us all the fun things.
Yeah, it's so cool. There's a lot to know about it all, and it's kind of its own world for sure.
Yeah, so great.
I appreciate the interest, and I'm happy to chat with you guys, and I can't wait to see the Goonies movie.
I'm gonna go watch Ghostbusters Afterlife, and so I can just like pick out parts.
Yeah, now we can see all the moments that you're in.
I know her.
Yeah.
Yes. That's so cool. What a fun job you have. Thank you so much, Devyn, for spending your time with Hardy Party 5.5. Get some rest. I know you got a busy day tomorrow.
Awesome. Cheers, you guys.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye. Okay, Hardy. Voiceover.
Yeah.
Stunt woman.
Yeah.
Motion capture.
Yes.
If you could only do one of those, what would you do?
Oh gosh.
It's hard, right?
You know what would actually be, I think what combines all of it together would be motion capture for me.
You would do motion capture?
Like you're doing the stunt work, which would be awesome and fun, but you're also able to perform a little more like you're the character rather than just being a stand-in for the character. You're the character.
Yeah. Like
Devyn talked about being in the Planet of the Apes movies. She was one of the apes, so she was acting and doing stunts.
Right.
So I would combine those. What about you?
I have a very shallow reason for what I'm about to say.
Okay.
I think I would probably do voice.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't have to work out. This voice of mine is always going to stay the same.
Oh, really? Wow.
I hope, unless I don't know what would cause my voice to change, but
your voice could go out. Like, don't a lot of singers' voices go out?
Yeah.
And they have to have surgery.
Well, if that happens, then I'm just gonna start working out, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's really shallow. That's not true. The most intriguing one obviously would be the stunt work, mainly because I'm always intrigued by like, especially women that can kick butt and all the martial artsy things. And I don't know. I probably like fighting movies, maybe even more than you do.
Like Jennifer Garner and Alias.
Jennifer Garner and Alien. Oh yeah.
Remember that show?
Yes, I was actually when you said Jennifer Garner. When you said Jennifer Garner, I was thinking Electra.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And so I was like, wait, what's Alias? Yeah. So yeah, you went in the way back time machine. So yeah, that's probably stunt work. I think would be really cool. Anyways, I thought she was so fascinating.
It was awesome.
I learned so much from her.
One, I love being able to highlight, like we talked a little bit about the people behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like the riggers and the crew members that don't get much other than seeing the movie finished. They don't get much publicity or media or anything.
They don't.
And they make the movie happen.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So the next time we're at the movie and the next time you're at the movie, you need to sit through all those credits and just say thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to say thank you to each name that comes up.
I want you to pronounce each name and tell them thank you all the way through. All right, deal?
Even if there's no after credits, you have to stay.
Just stay.
And you have to say thank you to each name on the credits that put together this movie
Can
for
you imagine the movie theater worker coming in with the broom, just like, come, what are you doing? Why are you
I'm
just
just
sitting here
saying thank
saying
you.
all the names that you can't even pronounce?
It's like the insurance commercial where they're taking the people to the movie and they're turning into their parents.
Yes.
And
those movies
after
are
the
so
movie's
funny.
over, the one woman starts clapping, and the guy's like, nobody that's made the movie is here. You don't have to clap. But this is our new mission. We're gonna thank everybody that's made the next movie you go to.
Key grips, I'm coming for you.
And that's right. Caterers, everything.
That's right. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode of Hardy Party at 5.5, and we hope you enjoy your next trip to the movie theater. Hardy Party 5.5, over and out.
We'll see you next time.